Good evening and welcome to Newscast. I'm Kelly Hanley.
And I'm Emma Hill. Limerick has had great success from City of Culture 2014 to now being named on the shortlist of nominee cities to host the European Capital of Culture designation in 2020. For 30 years now, the European Union has designated one or more cities as a European Capital of Culture. The decision was made at Dublin Castle as of Friday the 13th of November. Limerick is joining Kilkenny, Galway and Wexford on the shortlist. Limerick's plans for the prize designation were outlined by Limerick's 2020 bid team, which is being regulated by the European Union Commission. Ireland, along with Croatia, will host the European Capital of Culture, an EU initiative. In 5 years, one of the 3 regions will be selected in July next year to be the host. Limerick's theme is multiplicity, which refers to many various elements across Limerick that can be brought together within the brackets of culture. Limerick is on the path of change and regeneration, development and elaboration. Limerick City will now have until July 2016 to arrange another detailed submission for the designation, with the winning city to be announced after.
After a long wait, it has finally been announced that same-sex couples can legally marry in Ireland as of November the 16th. The marriage equality legislation was confirmed last week by Minister for Justice Francis Fitzgerald. The Marriage Act 2015 also revealed that those who married abroad will automatically have their marriages recognised in Ireland. This will be marked as a memorable date in Irish history, pleasing those who voted for marriage equality in the referendum last May. After the marriage equality passed the referendum on May the 22nd, it was confirmed that Ireland was the first country in the world to accept the unity of same-sex couples. The marriage equality has been considered a social revolution, with 62% voting in favour of gay marriage. Also, on the 17th of November, it was announced that the first legal marriage between a same-sex couple took place in Clonmel, County Tipperary. This is a huge step forward in democratic rights within Irish society. In other national news, we sent Emma Hill out to the campus of Mary Immaculate College to speak to students about the budget 2016.
This is Emma Hill reporting from Mary Immaculate College, Limerick. We spoke to students about the 2016 budget. Many students spoke to us about the recovery of the economy and how it has affected their lives, and how changes in tax, teaching and minimum wage is going to affect their lives with the forthcoming budget.
I do think that Ireland has made a recovery from the economic downturn, particularly with, say, Limerick City of Culture last year.
Some students spoke to us about the change in student-teacher ratios.
I'm doing the BA, I'm doing primary teaching, and the student-pupil ratio has affected me personally quite significantly, because I think that the difference in pupil ratio, the smaller size, will make my relationship with the students more personable.
Mainly because I suppose I'm a PAYE employee, the reductions in the USC charge are probably the biggest effect on me personally.
We spoke to students about the minimum wage increase and how they felt about the change.
Well, for me personally as a student, the minimum wage has gone up, so I have a part-time job, and since the minimum wage has gone up, it's easier for me now to be able to just have more money in my account, basically, be able to pay for stuff like commuting from Waterford and back.
I think where they've offered a lot of goodies, if you want to call them that, in the package, and there is, of course, the danger that we're coming up to a general election, so maybe Fine Gael and the government think that they're a little bit of a Santa Claus this year, giving us all the goodies.
I think the minimum wage increase is a small step forward in the grand scheme of things.
Things like cuts that they give to the elderly, students, things like that. So students are the people who are going to change the country and, change things for the better. And I think they need to invest more in our future, as opposed to, disencouraging us for just different charges and things that they implement on us.
That's all from me. Back to the studio. The government has announced that they will invest over €2 billion over the next 6 years as part of a new programme in schools throughout Ireland. The new Capital Investment in Schools programme will be running from 2016 to 2021, with a total of 310 major school projects being carried out across the country. There will also be 14 new schools in areas with very strong demographic demand.
Minister for Education and Skills, Jan O'Sullivan, announced the transparent list of projects that we announced will provide 62,000 additional school places over the lifetime of the investment plan. The plan will also eliminate the need for any schools to use prefabs as a long-term accommodation solution. From now until 2018, the population of pupils attending primary and secondary schools are expected to grow by 25,000 and 15,000 retrospectively. New schools will be built and some will be extended. In other news, we sent our reporter, Emily Maloney, out to the University of Limerick to speak to Jerry Flannery about the Rugby World Cup.
Rugby has been a huge part of Irish culture over the past few years, bringing together the 4 provinces of Ireland and uniting them as one country to take on some of the world's greatest teams, such as New Zealand and Australia. The Irish rugby team has had great success in the past few years, winning the Six Nations in February of this year and the Grand Slam back in 2009. We sent our reporter Emily Maloney out to the University of Limerick to speak to former Irish rugby player and Munster scrum coach Jerry Flannery.
Before the World Cup began, I would have tipped New Zealand as the favourites. They're probably the strongest squad. And Anu had a huge game for them, and they showed they've got big strength and depth all the way through. You know, despite losing Tony Woodcock at loosehead, you know, they bring in the likes of Wyatt Crockett. He goes off, and then Joe Moody comes on and plays the way he did. You know, they've just got so many complete footballers all the way through their 15, all the way through their squad that you know, they just do the basics better than anyone else. Losing a player like Paul O'Connell is a massive blow. I think, you know, one of the strengths of this Ireland squad going into the World Cup is that we have good strength and depth. And you know, to lose Paulie, you have Ian Henderson coming in. Ian Henderson's a fantastic player, but I think that Paul, as the captain of the team, is a real driver. He's a leader in the team, and he drives standards, and he draws big performances out of all those players that play around him. So he's a massive loss, and it showed. You know, he epitomises everything that's good about Munster rugby. You know, he played in amateur in the AIL, and he crossed those two sides. He understands the culture of the place so well that he's a huge loss.
Jerry mentioned how rugby has changed since his playing days back in 2012.
So it's 3 years since I played, but I suppose the thing I see is just, you know, there's been a bit of a leveling on the playing field with regards to conditioning. Like most teams you play now are all very well conditioned. They're all big, they're all strong, they're all powerful, and defences are all, you know, the game has become very much around, you know, who's got the best defence. I think if you looked at the World Cup, you'd have seen that there was no team that couldn't defend for long periods. The difference is, I suppose, now is that it'd be far more tactical around the first 3 phases. The success of the Irish team has been really good for the country in terms of it's probably piqued interest in rugby, and there's a lot more people are, you know, there's been so much television on, so much rugby on TV over the last month that, you know, people are really, you know, starting to develop a love for the game where they may not have been a huge interest in rugby before. And I think that's good because we're a small nation and we probably don't have huge playing numbers, so that the more people that we get that are interested in it, you know, the better it bodes for the future of Irish rugby.
The Rugby World Cup presented a roller coaster of emotions to the Irish people, from the striking plays from new talent and the unfortunate loss of Paul O'Connell. And now back to the studio.
Now over to Anna for international news.
Thank you, Emma. The United States are preparing the presidential debates for both the Democratic and Republican parties in the forthcoming election, which is scheduled for the 8th of November 2016. Topping the polls in the Republican Party is the controversial Donald Trump, with 28% of the national vote backing him. In the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton is topping the polls with 46% of the national vote. If Clinton succeeds in the race, she will become the first female president of the United States. Both the Republican and Democratic campaigns are focusing on the areas of foreign affairs, national defence, firearms regulation, the economy and education. In other news, a powerful earthquake has struck the western coast of Greece. The 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck southwest of Greece on the 16th of November at a depth of 10 kilometres, according to the US Geological Service. The tremor took place shortly after 9:10 in the morning, with its epicentre located 11 kilometres off the island's southwest coast. Its effects were felt in the Greek capital, some 385 kilometres away. No reports of serious injuries or damages were reported. That's all from me. Back to Emma and Kelly.
That's all from Newscast. Good evening.